Hi there, this is Group 2. We will be talking about our service learning project in this presentation. For our service learning project, we volunteered at the Children and Families Urban Movement organization, and we specifically focused in on the projects of the Breakfast Club and also the Thanksgiving Eve dinner. So just as an overview of our project, we helped serve a nutritious meal to children who attended the Breakfast Club. The children that attended the Breakfast Club were children that attend the Moulton school. We interacted with children before and after breakfast. Some of these interactions involved playing games with them, helping them finish their homework. We promoted their reading and writing skills by reading books with them and writing letters to teachers, things like that. And we helped promote appropriate social interaction between the children just by shadowing an example. We provided a safe environment to children to express their needs, and we formed trusting and lasting relationships with the children who attended, the staff, and overall just the community partner there at CFUM.
So a little bit about CFUM. Their mission is to create a community to support the potential of children, youth, and families through educational success, healthy living, and community engagement. So a little bit about their history. It was first started by the Trinity Church, or the Trinity United Methodist Church, in 1968, which then CFUM was created in 1992, which then created the Breakfast Club. It was first run by Cynthia Carver, or she was the first director, and then it was given to Donna Kay, and then Carmen Lamp Ziether. And throughout the years, it continues to grow, and more people are joining and volunteering. It just keeps developing, and the core mission just continues to grow. And it's been basically through the Moulton School before and after the school starts.
Hey, so the social issues that we've seen during our time have been poverty is probably the biggest one. Specifically, these families and children cannot really afford to have before-school care, so they also cannot necessarily afford to meet all of their basic needs, nutrition being one of them. In terms of the nutrition, the foods they can afford are not very high quality. We've also seen a lot of children are the primary population for the Breakfast Club, but of those children, most of them are of racial or ethnic minorities. Children, just as a social issue in general, children are very vulnerable because they can't provide for themselves, and they're also very impressionable. So the Breakfast Club, I guess, kind of asserted them as a vulnerable population. Some of the injustices that this population sees is discrimination. The families have high unemployment rate. They have the lack of nutrition. Sometimes that's not obvious lack of nutrition either because they can't afford foods. They're just not high quality, so they're eating lots of carbs. Sometimes they appear overweight, but they're still malnourished. There's also a lot of untreated and undiagnosed mental illness. Along with that is like behavioral health and poorer health outcomes in general, just because of lack of insurance and lack of seeking health care.
So at CFUM, the biggest ways that they try to work with some of these social issues are to provide the kids with nutrition and also to work with the behavioral aspects of these children. So the biggest thing that they do is they provide a meal to the children of Moulton every morning, and they also focus on promoting positive interaction. They ask that all the kids share with each other, and just to kind of shadow what the right behavior is to the kids. That's a big role of the volunteers and the supervisors there. As a part of the nutrition, they provide a good meal for the kids to start off their day with energy. So they'll have a successful day of learning and education at school. And another thing that they do that not everyone might know about is that they send families home with bread, and they also provide it to any of the community members, I believe, are welcome to come and grab bread as they need throughout the week. There's a picture on this slide of all the bread lined up against the wall on the tables. I think just all sorts of wraps and buns and rolls are donated to CFUM through surrounding businesses, and they're free to take those home. And as far as promoting good behavior throughout the children, there's many rules and regulations for these kids that the supervisors set out to achieve. It's kind of a constant thing to promote the good interaction between them and to teach good manners and how to behave.
In our PowerPoint, we have a slide of a picture of me interacting with some kids from CFUM in the morning during the breakfast club. Here we were having a really fun time playing with Mr. Potato Head, sharing around the different pieces, and just having a really great time. And they were interacting with each other and showing good behaviors, and I was being a good role model by showing them how to share and be positive toward their peers. So for our contribution, we mostly volunteered at the Breakfast Club. Where there we served nutritious breakfasts. This mostly consisted of passing out milk, orange juice, getting anything that the kids needed. And we encouraged the children to use their good manners while eating and interacting with other peers and staff. We helped them to build character. We also spent time with the children and staff and got to know them personally, and we formed a trusting bond. We did this by spending time with the kids, by sitting with them when they were eating breakfast, or talking with the staff when they were monitoring the kids, kind of getting to know how they run things. It was really informative. Our service contributed, the picture that's in that first, our contribution slide is of us three in front of the CFUM building, in front of the church. And then on the second slide, it's a picture of me and Rachel interacting with some of the kids. Those girls really wanted to take a picture with us, so that was kind of fun that they, felt a relationship and a bond with us, that they wanted to capture a moment with us. So our service contributed to the CFUM's mission by being role models for the youth to look up to and follow. We recognized potential in all of the youth and help that potential grow. We supported their education, health, growth, appropriate behaviors, and positive outlooks on the community and life, to hopefully someday also want to volunteer for organizations like this and contribute to their community. And then
So an additional contribution that we made was to the Thanksgiving Eve dinner, and that is also through CFUM. It's not a part of the Breakfast Club. So what they do is every year they host a Thanksgiving Eve dinner, so it's the night before Thanksgiving, and it's open to everybody in the community. They get around 300 people per year, and that's not through advertising. They do zero advertising whatsoever. It's purely word of mouth. And a lot of people, since it's annual, they have come to rely on it. They expect it. It's very a large benefit for the community, the same community that serves that the Breakfast Club serves, but it also extends beyond that. So specifically in our contribution, it all is relying upon volunteers and donations. All of the food is donated and all of the labor is volunteered. We had quite a few volunteers there, and it was a very rewarding experience. Some specific things we ended up doing in the contribution were, early in the morning it was mostly cleaning, setting up the dining room, decorating, making sure there's enough chairs and tables. And then when it was closer to mealtime, it was prepping all the food. So me and a few other people diced about 60 pounds of sweet potatoes. We had a group of people chopping onions. There was a group of people preparing salads. There were a variety of different foods being prepared, lots of bread slicing. And then along with that, lots of washing dishes. They don't have an endless supply, so you use something, you wash it, and then reuse it for the next thing. But the thing I found the neatest of all of that is just how motivated all of the volunteers were, and everybody who donated food. It was a good, positive experience, and to know that we were helping so many people. The two biggest things that I felt the Thanksgiving Eve dinner asserted were the nutrition and the social interaction. And now it's not the same social interaction as with the Breakfast Club, where they have lots of role models and rules, and good manners are role modeled. It was more of the nutrition and just having families and individuals who need a meal together in a good environment where they can celebrate the holiday. So it fulfilled their mission. It also fulfilled our objective to help out CFUM and listen to their needs and help them in additional ways beyond just the Breakfast Club. So I know in our PowerPoint we have quite a few pictures of Thanksgiving Eve dinner, kind of showing the process of what we were doing. So we had trays and trays and trays of sliced and prepared foods. And, I kind of bonded with some other people I had met there that are volunteers. And, we just had a good time. We all were there for the same cause. It was very rewarding to know that what we were doing was of such a great benefit and that there was such a need for it. And then there is an additional picture, no longer about Thanksgiving Eve dinner, but back to the Breakfast Club, just the social interactions with the kids and playing games. I know I sat down quite a few different times with different groups at tables and played a variety of games, which they loved to teach. And that was their biggest thing. All these kids love to teach us how to play the games, and I thought that was pretty special.
So, kind of as a synopsis of our overall experience there at CFUM, we thought the project went very, very well. We all agree that we had a lot of fun interacting with all the kids, and it felt really great to make a difference there at the Breakfast Club and the Thanksgiving Eve dinner. What we weren't expecting, it kind of took us a while to be comfortable with all the rules and regulations and the expectations of the kids, because it was important for us to really enforce those as well as the supervisors. So I know for me, I wasn't quite comfortable at first with, correcting some of the behaviors that I saw out of the children, but that's what they want you to do. So, but once we got the routine down, the focus was on the kids. It was on promoting their nutrition, promoting their learning, and good social interactions between the peers. Something that we were really impressed with was the job name tags. So each day the kids were assigned a certain task and they were handed out name tags. And some of these tasks included breakfast, cleanup crew, sweeper, and some kids were designated to be game organizers at the end of playtime. And it was really interesting to see firsthand how well these kids took to the responsibilities that they were assigned. They really seemed to enjoy what they were doing, and I think they really loved also making a difference in the program and helping it run smoothly. It was good to see it, that they really enjoyed taking some responsibility in the program.
So for our outcomes, we think that we had really good outcomes for the amount of time that we spent with the kids and with the organization. We were able to accomplish our first and third objectives that we proposed. The first one was creating trusting relationships with the children and staff. We had plenty of time to interact with them, get to know them, and create relationships that would last. And then our third objective, which was ensure children receive nutritious meals before they start their day, which we did every time that we were there to volunteer. They would start at 7, and then kids would just, line up, and then they stopped at 8 o'clock, and kids would still be walking in, and they would still, or we would still provide them with the food and nutrition that they needed to start their day. Unfortunately, we did not accomplish our second objective, which was to suggest services to people who are unaware of them. We thought that this wasn't really the main focus of our project. We were more focused on interacting with the kids, making relationships, giving them the food they needed, and the bonds and interactions that they needed to grow as people. Things that we could have done to fulfill our second objective would have been to create flyers and place them around local businesses, or give speeches to Mercy classes so then they know about the organization and maybe would want to volunteer later, or just encouraging other people to get to know the organization and programs and spread the word, basically. And then I believe that we fulfilled all of the Mercy core values, which are knowledge, reverence, integrity, compassion, and excellence. We showed knowledge by assisting the kids with their homework. We were knowledgeable to be able to help them overcome the struggle of homework. And we also helped redirect behaviors by knowing our mental health issues and developmental psychology knowledge. We were able to redirect behaviors and encourage good interactions. We showed reverence by showing respect toward every individual, the staff and the child. We were very respectful for the organization and program. We showed integrity by being reliable. We were there on time. We were there to be honest and work hard and be trustworthy. So we had really good integrity. We showed compassion by caring for the children wholeheartedly. We wanted them to grow, and we wanted to execute CFUM's mission. We also showed excellence by providing quality service to the program. We're dedicated to CFUM's mission and outlook for the community. We just wanted to be excellent in our work and giving service to the program. We just wanted to be dedicated to the mission and outlook for the community. And talk about that picture, Rachel.
So there's a picture of us, and we're all kind of sitting at a table with some of the girls that had just finished up their meal. We were just interacting with them and talking with them, and all of the girls wanted to join in on the picture. So it was kind of funny that the second we said that we were going to take some pictures, some of them rushed to the bathroom because they had to put on their lip gloss for the pictures, and it was just super fun that they all wanted to be in it with us. And they were really sad, it seemed like, when we left. So it was really fun to create the relationships that we did with those kids. Looking towards the future as servant leaders, there are always upcoming opportunities for students and faculty to volunteer at CFUM. Every week they're appreciative of any of the volunteers that they can get. Volunteers really do play a huge role there in making the program work and keeping it going. So the website, CFUM's website, is always updated with upcoming events and volunteer opportunities. As advice for future volunteers, we would say to listen to the supervisors and shadow their example to the kids, to guide children towards the right behavior and promote that they use their manners with all of their interactions. And the children love interacting with all the volunteers, so just to provide an open environment in which they feel that they can come to you with any of their needs is super important as a volunteer there. And to lastly, have fun. If we're extended time and resources, we think it would be possible for CFUM to expand their services to other locations or maybe to more people if they had more help and more funding or resources, and to also promote that more volunteers take part in the programs that they have there.
And just adding to that briefly, they are always looking for volunteers to teach about different specific topics. So, for example, like dental hygiene is a big one. They currently are looking for a group to teach them. But I think with extended time and resources, they would be able to have they would have all the resources they need to add more of a teaching component to the programs. And then I guess just kind of in conclusion, relating our project to servant leadership qualities that we've read about and studied this semester, we've been able to use all of this firsthand. And one of the biggest things that I think biggest ways we've incorporated this is, going back to the Greenleaf text and how the focus is on serving first and leadership comes second. So getting involved in the projects and getting out into the community, all of that is service focused, and staying service focused while we are in the beginning of our journey as servant leaders is important. And so this project helped us a lot. Also, using our listening skills, I know Greenleaf and some other texts, they all emphasize the importance of listening and understanding. And we had to do that in order to understand the needs of the community partner and to understand the needs of each other in our group and to understand the needs of the children and individuals that we were serving. And then another part of it is having clear objectives and goals and having the initiative to go out and reach those. And we did have the initiative to reach those. We also had the flexibility to recognize the changing needs, though, of our community partner, and to be able to kind of mold our objectives as we were going. And then we also had to show acceptance and empathy, which I think came pretty naturally to all three of us, but being accepting of the children and the adults and anybody there and the staff, and just accepting who they are, what their life experiences are, what brings them there, and what they need, and being empathetic towards their situation, and if they're having any hardships, you know, basically being free of judgment. And then one of the last things for the servant leadership qualities was just working one day at a time. I know all of us had to come in several days over and over and over in order to meet our required hours, but it really is just a process of coming in and working one day at a time to improve the community and being, you know, just not being overwhelmed with the end goal, but just looking one day at a time into what we're doing and seeing that the contribution is worth it and that it's valuable. And so I think just to conclude our entire project and presentation, we have some personal statements about what we've learned. And I guess I'll go ahead with mine. What I'm taking away from this project about servant leadership, some things I just actually mentioned a minute ago, but that the needs of the community need to be first, and that we need to be flexible as servant leaders and willing to not necessarily change, but update our objectives and our goals for ourselves as we're going according to the needs of the community partner and others.
And I completely agree that now as a beginning servant leader, I need to do more for the community, and this project just helped me to learn how many opportunities there are out there, and how many things that I can do to make a difference to, you know, one day at a time to make a difference to the community. I also learned what it means to give my whole self to a specific service and to be dedicated to the growth of others. And I learned that interacting with others can have a powerful impact on myself and possibly even change myself, as well as have a powerful impact on the other person or people who I'm interacting with. So it's just like it's an amazing thing that we have the power to, you know, impact people's lives for the better.
In my experience of learning through service, I found that listening is the starting point to it. So with the kids and with the supervisors, we had to truly and genuinely listen to what they were in need of and how we can help. And then we take a step back and say, okay, how can we make this possible, and what can we give to them and what efforts can we give to them. So listening is a huge thing. Kind of, for example, Liz had heard word about the Thanksgiving Eve dinner and how much help they need and all the time that it would take. And so she kind of scheduled that into her schedule and just that focused primarily on that specific need for that program. And I also learned that there are so many different causes and areas that are in need of our service. We just have to be open and looking for them constantly because they're not going to come to us. We have to go to them. So just to be kind of aware of everything that's going on in our community and then focusing our attention towards those programs is what will make us into great servant leaders. And I think that concludes our presentation. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thanks.